And we're live. Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to UnleashTV. We missed last week's episode. I'm sorry about that. We also still haven't got the audio-only version of the show running yet. That's all my fault because I've been traveling a lot in the last 2 weeks. So that's a priority. I promise, guys. Just give us a little bit more time. We've been talking about it. So let me just say that. As usual, I'm joined by my awesome host all the way from Singapore. What's up, Al? How's it going?
Hey,
Has your terminal has the Changi Airport been renamed to any other phone brand?
no.
Because because we heard some really funny stuff about London's terminal
In
five.
fact, it would be insane if that happened here.
I
I
can
think
imagine the
I
New
think
Delhi.
they are too protective about their branding to allow something like that to happen.
Oh my God! Think of the possibilities. Like the New Delhi airport would be the new Microsoft Mobile Airport,
Oh,
and stuff like that. All right. So just to clue you guys in, we weren't going to talk about this much, but it's so funny that I just had to start with that. Samsung has paid uh, the government, I guess, of London. I don't know who to brand Terminal 5 in Heathrow as Samsung Galaxy S5. Which is funny as hell. It's just funny as hell. Oh my God. Imagine the boardroom meeting where they thought of that. Let's do this, guys. Let's rebrand the terminal. And that'll make more people want to buy our phones because now whenever they go to Terminal 5, they'll be going to Terminal Galaxy S5. All right. Let's start with the funny news of this week. A lot of stuff happened. We're also going to cover news that happened last week because we missed last week's episode. Swarm is a new app by Foursquare that's basically Foursquare but
for
more
check-ins
complicated.
only. So
Yes.
essentially, they are going to split Foursquare up into two apps. One is the standard Foursquare app, which will take care of recommendations and that sort of stuff, and one is the Swarm app, which takes care of check-ins. So basically, they are making it such that you don't have to check into places in order to take advantage of Foursquare. And I think that they are pursuing this sort of strategy because they aren't really seeing a lot of growth in terms of users, and so they want to transition towards being a recommendations engine for eateries and restaurants and cafes and so on, uh, while maintaining the check-in aspect in a separate app for people who still use that. Do you still check in on Foursquare?
I, I, s- I only check it on Foursquare when I'm traveling, to be very honest, because it's fun, because I use it to get recommendations of places to see what's nearby, but I don't really do it as proactively as I would before. You know where it actually comes in useful? It only comes in useful in America, at least from my experience. That's the only place where you find actual decent recommendations of places and stuff. Um,
Actually, over here I found Foursquare very useful for restaurant recommendations and all
that
that
is
because
true. Yes, yes, yes. And Singapore is very useful as well. Yeah, that's true.
yeah, because even though I wouldn't say that it's super popular over here, but there are enough people on it to make the tips useful. And so at any time I'm checking on a new restaurant with my boyfriend or whatever, one of the first things that we do in a new place is to go to the Foursquare listing and see what
Mm.
tips there are, so that we know what we should order. And so the layout of the actual Foursquare after you switch to Swarm, the recommendations part of it takes over. So it's no longer in a separate stream. It's
Oh, okay.
just that way now.
I haven't
Uh,
opened the official Foursquare app after I installed Swarm. But don't you think Swarm is a little bit complicated looking? Like I opened it
yeah,
up and I was immediately intimidated by all the stuff that it showed me. And I
it's
was like,
cute
wow.
though. It's actually quite cute with the whole honeycomb bee theme,
Yeah, yeah.
the hexagon avatars. I like it. I like the distinct style. I like the orange color scheme because it contrasts nicely with the turquoise. And I think the apps are very well integrated together because when you install Swarm, if you already have Foursquare installed, it will automatically log you into Swarm. And so that's quite cool as well.
Mm, mm. Well, let's move on from there. I'm not sure if this will increase Foursquare's check-in user base or get more people onto Swarm. They certainly did create some buzz with it. It's
Yeah.
strange though because they gave The Verge all this information and The Verge had to post about it, and nobody else got to information, so nobody else posted about it. But then, like 4 days before it was released, everybody else posted about it, but it wasn't released yet, and then it was released. So I was really confused about whether it was available to download or not. But finally it was. I don't know. I hope it works out. I'm still to see how, because here in India it really doesn't do much. But when I'm traveling, I'm hoping to see how Foursquare and Swarm work together now, and whether they make a big difference from the way I used to use Foursquare before. Oh, all right. Let's move on to other news. A lot
Executive
of
waffling.
executive waffling. This was Alan's brilliant naming. So this was very, very interesting because I spotted this because Ari tweeted about it, and I was like, whoa, this is really interesting. Apple just hired one of Nokia's Lumia senior imaging experts, and this is the guy that's worked on the N8. He's worked on the 808 PureView. He's worked on the 1020. He's worked on the 1520. He's got a lot of know-how.
Yeah, he's got an impressive portfolio. He's one of the main people behind the PureView technology, and now he's going over to Apple. He decided not to continue with Microsoft Mobile.
Don't blame him.
Good for
Don't blame
him. Good for him. Go to Apple. And I think this could be very exciting, especially since Apple seems to also have an interest in pushing mobile imaging forward. The iPhone doesn't get a lot of attention for its camera and imaging potential, but people who have actually used an iPhone are very happy with the camera as it exists right now.
Yep. Yep.
And I can't wait to see what he gets up to over there.
Yeah, I mean, for people wondering, Apple's not going to make a PureView camera. That's Nokia's technology, unless they license it from them or something. Apple's always been going for slim, so I'm excited to see what they do with this. If they, with Apple, you really never know. You really never know. But I'm like Alvin, I'm just super excited to see what this does, because he was a smart guy. I've spoken to him a couple times. I met him a couple times at events. He even came here to India for the launch of the 1020, I think. And he was smart. Again, the Nokia's PureView team is made up of a lot of great people that know what they're talking about. But he was still high enough that it's interesting that Apple hired him. Moving on to other amazingly surprising news. Samsung has apparently finally hired. Well, not hired.
They didn't hire. They
new
promoted
mobile
somebody.
chief,
Yeah.
but they promoted him from the team that has already been creating things like the Galaxy S5 and the S4 and stuff like that.
So I don't think anything's going to change.
So I don't think anything's gonna change, but the way people covered this, it was like, oh my god, there's finally a new mobile chief of design at Samsung. Holy shit! Oh no, wait, it's just some guy that's already working on the team. It's a promotion, and the guy that was the former chief. Everyone posted that he apparently got promoted because Samsung was so that guy, the previous mobile chief, got promoted to a new position. And everyone said that that's because Samsung is not happy with the Galaxy S5 sale, and it's doing really bad, and blah blah blah, because of design.
If that was really the case, they wouldn't promote somebody from inside the company. They would bring in Scott Croyle, who's leaving HTC.
Yeah. Oh boy. But don't you think this is the easiest job in the entire world, being a phone designer at Samsung? It's like
Of
the
course.
easiest job in the entire world, because you just cut, copy, and paste.
It's just a matter of zoom factor.
Oh my god, it's funny as hell. Yeah, let's move on. Nokia Connects. Now this is a brand that we know as bloggers. I'm not sure everybody out there knows it. Nokia Connects is a very well-known. I don't know how to explain it. A blogger engagement channel
Blogger outreach.
of Nokia. Yeah, blogger outreach is also good.
Yeah.
And also social media and everything else. They have been rebranded to just Connects without the Nokia. Which is Microsoft apparently already trying to knock you out of things. This is what I don't understand. Okay, everyone's trying to act like nothing's happened, which is nice, I guess. But something has happened, and Microsoft has still not come up with a new brand name. So their solution right now is just to remove the word Nokia from things. So, for example, I'm sure conversations at Nokia.com is going to be rebranded to just conversations already. On Twitter, they already just conversations, I think. I'm not sure. Something like that. Nokia Connects is now just Connects, and so on and so forth. So, you know what's going to really be annoying though? All of the Nokia apps might be rebranded with
Yep.
just the word with Nokia removed, which means instead of being on one place on my Windows Phone screen, they're going to be like across everything.
Like Mix Radio, Maps,
Yeah, like
Drive.
Maps, Drive. It'll be like all over.
Creative Studio,
Creative Studio.
Panorama.
Ringtone maker. Yeah, so it just. Oh well. Let's go on to leaks. All right. So the LG G3 has been leaked all over the internet. Oh my God, I'm so fed up of seeing the LG G3. I just wish LG would just announce the damn thing already. Which is happening any day now. It's happening like
Yeah.
this week. But that thing has been leaked. Even LG got fed up of the leaks and released a video showing off a glimpse of the G3 at the back, which
So,
you can see on the post.
I think it's a good looking phone. I included this not because of LG's video, but because I wanted to reflect on how much LG has progressed. It looks like from the G2 to this phone. The G2 was an
May I say, Alvin was not a fan of the G2 when he saw it.
But it was because the G2 was such an anonymous design. It made no impression at all. It was just some phone, and the G3 is actually looks nice. The bezels on the screen are so thin, especially at the top. I like that look. There's a lip at the bottom. That's the color of the rear. So that sort of and they are going for a metallic texture that I'm sure is still going to be made of plastic. But well, hey. Yeah, now where Samsung was with the Galaxy S3.
So you know that's a really good advantage to having back-mounted buttons or rear-mounted buttons because you don't have any buttons along the side, and that allows them to keep that bezel so thin.
Yeah, and now it applies to the top or the top bezel as well. It really looks very minimal and I like the look of that phone. I like the metallic texture.
I'm really impressed. I'm hoping LG. Yeah, it's just the thing is they've gone from a 5-inch phone to a 5.5-inch phone. If the rumors are true.
Yeah, but you also get much more pixels in that screen. So
2K display. Okay, like we've discussed this before, but you know you buy your expensive phone right now, your high-end premium phone, like the Htc M8 or the Xperia Z2, and you destroy that screen. Maybe you drop it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it melts or something. Maybe something happens to that screen. It's a lot of money. With a 2K display, that screen is going to be a lot more money. It's going to be like half the price of the phone itself. I feel like that. Yeah. I mean, again, we have to see if this actually happens, but I feel like people should know this going forward that with a 2K display.
But you know something, the LG G3 is the first LG phone that has excited me in a long time, and that's coming from a company that does lots of boring things. Like they just announced 3 new tablets this week: the G-Pad 7.0, G-Pad 8.0, and G-Pad 10.1, all of which are anonymous and completely unremarkable tablets that are not worth your time. And
let's not talk about it.
Turn to actually even talk about the specifications because they are just meh. So
I'm amazed that there are still people releasing Android tablets because, I mean,
and it's 3 at a time. 3.
Look, LG is clearly trying to be the new Samsung because Samsung has a device in every single form factor.
And Samsung now has multiple lines of tablets. That's the Galaxy Tab.
No, don't go in there. Don't go there.
Galaxy Note Pro. And
we don't have enough airtime to name all their tablet models. We don't have enough airtime. We'll go way over. The time. It's not enough time. It's not enough. Alright. Apart
LG
from
also released a phone that's aimed at the Japanese market. That has that same 2K display. So this may be a preview of what we'll get with the LG G3. It's the Isai FL, and so this phone has the 2K screen. It has the minimal bezels on the top left and right. It has a lid at the bottom. Basically, this is the G3. This is the G3 that's meant for Japan. So that's why it is. Nokia has launched the Lumia 630 in India at 10,500 rupees. Dual SIM is 11,500 rupees. It's a boring phone. I don't see any
boring phone. And oh wait, look at this. Do you know which brand this box belongs to? Because I don't know. It looks kind of confusing. Wait. Oh wait. It says Nokia there, but it's a white color boring box, and it just kind of looks like every single other box in the entire world. Oh wait, do you see that box anymore? Because it kind of looks like an ordinary, boring, stupid box. Oh my God! Come on, Microsoft. Why would you mess up the color?
Also, here's something. If you haven't seen our unboxing of this phone, it does not come with a data cable and it does not come with a headset.
Yes, clearly Microsoft Mobile has tried to go as cheap as possible with this phone.
When was the last time you saw a phone come without a data cable? How expensive can a data cable be? If you got a Nokia 5800 or something like that,
this is another thing I don't understand.
You'd get a data cable in the box, even if it was a mini little one.
Now this is the thing I don't understand. You have a micro USB charging charger, with this device. But when you buy another Lumia, a high-end Lumia phone, or even a high-end any phone, you get a micro USB cable with a charging adapter that you plug in to the cable.
Exactly.
So, is that more expensive than just making a one cable? Because that's what they've done over here. Over here with the Lumia 620, you just have that charger. You just have that charger, and I'm amazed and puzzled as to
can't see how it would be more expensive. And
look, it's the charger. But why doesn't it come out? Why is it wasted opportunity?
This is the standard of. That's what you get in the box if you get like a Nokia, don't know, 1110 or 210 or something like that. That's the sort of package that you get. And now they are saddling the 630 with this sort of poor package content, and that's just really upsetting because
sad.
Yeah, it's upsetting, especially since the 630 is this boring and anonymous phone that doesn't even have a camera button on the side, and I could go on, but it doesn't matter. No one will buy this phone anyway.
There's nothing that we can talk about this one. It runs Windows Phone 8.1. Yay.
It has a WVGA screen and it's 2014. Well, 2008 called it once its WVGA screen back.
It also has a really ugly loudspeaker grill, as you can see over here. It's really ugly.
Nokia X. Anyway,
okay, let's move on. It's a Nokia X that runs Huawei
P7 was announced. It has a 5-inch 1080p display. It looks like an iPhone. It has the same design as the Ascend P6. It still has its custom silicon, which will probably worsen the performance of the phone. And we won't see it in Singapore. I don't know whether we'll see it in any markets that matter, apart from China and maybe India. But I don't care about Huawei. HTC announced the One Mini 2. So.
Oh boy! Wow! Yay! This phone is so amazing. Oh, look! It's nothing like the One M8. Oh, wait! But they've done something smart. They haven't chosen to go with the stupid dual camera thing.
You know, I think that is a Christmas miracle.
But at least they've chosen not to go with that. But pricing is stupid. I feel like they could have just released the HTC One M7 as the HTC One Mini.
Exactly. Especially since the M7 already has a smaller display than the M8. So yeah, you know what? This One Mini 2. I'll just quickly run through what it has. Quad-core 1.2 GHz, Qualcomm Snapdragon 400. Why the Snapdragon 400? How expensive can the Snapdragon 600 be? It has a 4.5-inch 720p display, which means that I'm sure it'll be fine. But you know, the M7 has a 4.7-inch 1080p UV display, which I would have loved to see in this phone. It has less metal and more plastic, so the sides are actually made of plastic rather than the wrap around aluminum casing. They have ditched the dual camera, which just shows what an effective camera it is that they have decided to ditch it for everything apart from their flagship phone.
So this is the funniest part. It has a higher megapixel camera than the one
exactly
normal size.
The Desire 816 also has this 13 megapixel camera. This One Mini 2 has a 13 megapixel camera. So if you want an HTC phone with a great camera, don't get the HTC One M8. It also has a 5 megapixel front-facing camera, which is really nice to see. It's still stuck at 1 gigabyte of RAM. Come on, HTC. My Xperia Z from last year has 2 gigabytes of RAM. How hard can it be?
Now you know what? Okay, so those are the specs. Those are the specs.
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's HTC's phones. It's the HTC One M8, the HTC One M8. No, sorry, wait. It's the HTC One M7, the HTC One M7 Max, and the HTC One M7 Mini. Then there's the HTC One M8, and then there's the HTC One M8 Mini 2. But there's no reason for its existence. What HTC should have done is just take the old M7, the old HTC One, the M7, make that the HTC One Mini.
You know what?
Because it's the same price right now. It's almost the same price as the One Mini.
In the second half of the year, we are going to see the HTC One Max 2, and it will be too big for its own good, and it will have a fingerprint sensor on the back.
Oh god, that phone! I love. Everybody knows I love HTC. I love HTC, but that phone, the One Max, it just took a lot for me to just it exhausted me. That phone was just ergonomically, it was a terrible phone to use. But
let's just recall that I did get a One Max for review. I used it for a day before that, and when I got it for review, I did not use it as a phone at all, and because it was just so
really big.
impossibly big. You know, when I took it.
What's surprising though is when I went to Taiwan for Google's event last year. Taiwan is where HTC is based out of. I saw a lot of people with the HTC One Max. So I'm kind of wondering.
The One Max as a phone for a day. I decided, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. I took it to my workplace. I teach in a school, and the children could not stop talking about how big my phone was. At the end of the day, I decided, okay, I cannot use this phone. I can't.
Speaking of big phones, the LG G Pro 2 launched in India this week. I don't know if we're going to review this phone. I don't know if we want to take the time out to review this phone. Do you think we should?
It's the HTC One Max of LG. This is an enlarged version of the G2, but this phone comes with a theme that has bunnies in it. So if you like bunnies,
now we have to review that phone.
Yeah, if you like bunnies, you will want this phone because you can set the theme to something that puts little bunnies around all your icons.
Alright. Okay, let's move on to the other bit of news this week from Sony's camp. The Sony Xperia ZL2 was announced this week. 5-inch 180p camera, second 801. It's basically the plastic version of the Xperia Z2.
Alright, I'm glad that this is Japan only because.
Hey, but if it's like last year, this phone will be released across the world.
It's also not waterproof, so So really though, just get the Z2, which just launched in India this week for 49,990.
So this is awesome because the Xperia Z2, the HTC One M8, and the Galaxy S5 all cost the same in India right now. And because they all cost the same, the Galaxy S5 has been doing so bad because nobody's buying the Galaxy S5. And as a result, Samsung has undercut their price by massively. The price has dropped by 15,000 rupees in one week. Samsung just panicking, and they're And the best part about the Sony Xperia Z2 in India is that you get the smart band free with it. The Sony smart band comes free with the Xperia Z2 in India. That is amazing because that band is really worth it if you just want a wearable to track you. Alvin's been using one for the last 2 weeks, and it's a really interesting device. And if you wanted to get into wearables scene, You are basically, you know what? I'm kind of surprised Sony priced it so cheap with the free smart band because you're getting like now we'll talk about this later on the phone, but you're basically getting the best phone that's out there right now, and you're getting
with a
a wearable free
fantastic
with it.
wearable device.
Yeah, so wow. And not to forget, this wearable device is a little sensor that can be removed from the smart band and plugged into other things in the future.
Yeah.
So technically, it's even future-proof from that aspect. So I just, ah man, the Xperia Z2 is the phone to get right now. It's the phone to get right now in India if you're looking for a really
And
well,
if you are
pretty much.
looking for a low-end phone, the Moto E may be the phone to get. It's a
Yes, okay, let's talk about this phone. So earlier this week, the Moto E was announced. It's a very cute little phone. It doesn't really have crazy specs. It has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 200 processor, dual core. It has Android, the latest version of Android 4.4.
4.3 inch QHD display. That's 960
Yes.
by 540.
Just to show you, for example, the box itself is smaller than the Xperia Z2. The box itself can be hidden behind the Z2. So it's a really cute little phone. The thing is, the pricing is amazing. It's just 7,000 rupees in India. Abroad, it's about what,
You
$120,
know
I think.
what? Don't get the Lumia 520 or 525. Get this one.
And I've been using this side by side because I've been trying to finish off all the reviews that I can in the last few days. But I've been using this as well, and it's a dual SIM phone. It's really nice for 7,000 rupees. It has a waterproof coating on the screen. It's water resistant, that is. So it's kind of that much durable. Front facing, lower speaker. It has a 5 megapixel fixed focus camera, and you don't get a micro USB to USB cable, but you do at least get a headset in this box
Wow.
and a charger. So what the hell? What the hell? How is Motorola able to afford this, but Microsoft Mobile can't? And it's a really surprisingly really nice phone. Even build quality is solid. You can remove the back panel and buy
You
more
can,
back panels
yeah,
and
there
customize it
are
like how
back
you want.
panels in other colors like lime and turquoise and so on.
Look at it, look at it. It's fast. It's of
That
course
looks
it's
great.
at the end of the day it is a dual core phone. So if you're running really heavy tasks, like even Facebook for Android is sluggish even on the highest of phones.
Please don't use
Um,
Facebook.
but it does take like a little while to start. But it works just fine. There's Google Now. There's why would you buy any other phone below
Exactly.
10,000
And
rupees right now?
and here's the thing, I haven't seen the phone yet. I haven't used the phone. And
Mm.
based on the specifications, the design, and the price, I already can tell that this phone is going to blow away the Nokia X. No one's going to
Yeah.
talk about the
Oh
Nokia X.
boy.
And the
Oh
Nokia
boy.
X is completely irrelevant right now.
Yeah.
Blows away the 520, the 525. It's a better deal than the 630. It just exceeds all of Samsung's low end offerings
Oh
and
yeah.
whatever LG has. It's really just the best low end
So
smartphone that you can get.
so this
And
is really really interesting because right now, um, Nokia's phones were the only things that were really selling really well for them were the Windows phones in the low end segment. But now countries like India and Brazil have the Moto G, which is really cheap and affordable. Now you have
yeah,
the Moto E, which is crazily cheap and affordable. Um, So it's like, wow, did Motorola just suddenly get really popular in India? Motorola is a company that pulled out of India because when they had the Razr, the new Razr, the one with the crazy battery, the Razr Max, that was the last phone that they released in India, and then they pulled out of India because they weren't selling that many phones. But in terms of
wow,
hype, everybody's been talking about them. I've seen more Motorola phones, like the Moto G and the Moto E now, but I've seen more Moto Gs in the wild than Lumia phones, and that's saying a lot
and
because
And in related news, the Moto G now is available in an LTE version in markets that have LTE. So, like the Moto G was launched in Singapore for a very attractive price, and now the one thing is lacking is LTE, and now it has it. So, to me, that's the perfect mid-range smartphone to get. Um,
so this is just really interesting. Like the Moto E, I'm telling you, it's just every single company that makes phones should be scared about this,
yeah,
especially Nokia because Nokia. right now were really solid and low end. Like if you had to recommend a phone below 10,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees in India, there was nothing better than the 520. There was nothing better than the 525. There was nothing better than even the 630, 620. To be honest, but now, holy crap!
Yeah.
Why buy a Windows phone at that price range?
And also,
With
I,
this,
I hear people cribbing about the fact that it's only available online in India and so on.
yep.
But this sort of thing can change once Motorola actually establishes more distribution channels, and so the fact that they can produce such a phone in the first place is something that is quite impressive, regardless of whether the initial distribution model is necessarily to your liking. That sort of thing can and will change and become better with time, especially since they are still relatively new in terms of the amount of time they've had since their re-entry into the Indian market. So this sort of thing does take time, and
So,
so I'm confident that it will get better.
So apart from me, Atif from UnleashThePhones has also been checking out the Moto E, and he also has some very interesting points. He thinks the phone is definitely worth it, but he says, you know what, in India you can also get other Indian phone manufacturers that make devices that are slightly more faster, slightly more powerful at the same price range. But my argument is that you're betting on a brand new brand that might not have service, might not have support. But Motorola in this case is a well-known brand, and they have support. And at the end of the day, it's yeah. I really think the Moto E is going to do really well, and I can't wait to see what happens with this. What's interesting though is that the box still says Motorola, a Google company, so it's going to be a little awkward. I don't know when the Lenovo deal is going to happen or how much Lenovo is going to change Motorola, because right now I don't know how much profit they're making from this phone. Because to be very honest, I don't know if they're making any profit from this phone at all. Because
I think that at the low end, the margins on these phones are always pretty slim. So I'm pretty sure that whoever decides the prices for these phones won't put it in such a way that they are definitely going to make a loss on it. A phone is not a game console. With a game console, the Xbox One and the PS4 are sold at losses in order to spur the adoption of the ecosystem and these and Sony and Microsoft make their money back on the games. In the smartphone space is quite different. Hardware companies can only make money on the hardware, so I don't think they are selling at a loss. Even the Moto G isn't being sold at a loss, but I think that that it would be intelligent for Lenovo to leave Motorola the way that it is and run it like a company in itself, because I think that whatever they've got going on right now shows a very strong strategy, and that makes sense. And
it's working very well for them. It's working very well for them.
Yeah, by not putting out 10,001 different variants of the same handset, they are already operating in a more efficient way than many larger phone manufacturers.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about larger phone manufacturers. Both Alvin and I have been using the Xperia Z2 for the last. Well, Alvin's been using it for the last 2 weeks. I've been using it for the last week. I got the beautiful purple version. It's so beautiful. Alvin has the black version. Ha! I finally got a better color phone to review than Alvin. Normally, Alvin gets a better color, and I get the boring versions. I have to say, guys, the purple version looks really hot. I've gotten a lot of funny comments using this in public. Some people are like, "Oh, it doesn't look very manly," and some people are like, "Oh my God, it looks awesome." I think this phone looks amazing in purple. It's a very nice shade that kind of looks like a different shade depending on your lighting outside. Sometimes it looks bluish, sometimes it looks more purple than it actually is. But regardless of the color you buy, get the white version if you're worried about like color. It's the perfect phone right now. Like seriously,
it's the best smartphone in the world. And
I have no like I've like with the M8 I was like, this is the best phone ever, but I wish the camera was better.
There are
The
no
Galaxy S5
caveats like that with this phone. No caveats. There's no excuses that you have to make for this phone. It's just great in every way. And we talked a bit about the Z2 last week, but okay, well, it turned out the first unit I had was faulty. This one was fine. And so it's actually been a great experience. I I think that really there's nothing bad that I can say about this one. I've been putting together the review about the imaging aspects of this one, and I in that article, which is going to go out tomorrow, I kept saying there's nothing I can say that is bad about this performance. There's really nothing I can say that is bad because I'm very sure that Nokia fans will still say, oh, it's not 41 megapixels and so on, and it's not pure view, blah 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 blah. But the Lumia 1020 has a big ugly camera pouch on the back, and this doesn't. So this so I don't think you can judge it on the same level as that 1020 because the 1020 is a niche device, like the Galaxy K Zoom is a niche device, and if those two phones produce better pictures than the Z2, I'm sure that's completely justified. In this form factor, the Z2's camera is the best that you can get.
Not to forget that the Z1 itself and the Z2 now had a bigger sensor than the one on the Lumia 1520, and it even did provide better, produced better images compared to the 1520. So I think Sony's back to their glory days when it's been a Nokia. Remember the olden days when it was Sony versus Nokia in terms of imaging?
Yes.
And I think Sony's finally back. Like,
At
wow,
last.
it took them forever. It took them for freaking
Nokia is
ever.
actually gone away as a company.
Yeah, and Sony finally came back with the perfect phone.
Okay, so in terms of design and build quality, it's very solid. This is I mean, coming from the Z1, you won't notice a huge difference, but if you are coming from anything else, you will love the feel of this phone as well as the materials. It has metal all around the sides. It's got glass on the front and the back. It's waterproof, and it does so without any weird you know attachments or whatever, apart from a couple of flaps to protect the micro USB ports and the card slots.
Yes, the flaps will annoy you. I should add that because the main flap over here, which has the SIM card slot in it, also has the micro USB slot in it. So you will have to open that up every time you want to charge it.
But if you get the magnetic charging dock, you won't have to worry about that at all. And honestly, having had an Xperia Z, these flaps are much easier to remove than the flaps on that phone. So I think they have really tried to make it as usable as possible while still retaining the waterproofing. What I wish would happen
Also, I should just throw this in. It has a lanyard cable inlet. Oh my god, I love this. You can attach a lanyard cable so your phone feels safe in your hand, and you
which
don't
also
have
speaks
to
to
worry.
its imaging photos as well, because this is important if you are using it as a camera. I do wish that they did what the Tablet Z has. The Tablet Z, most people don't notice it, but then there's actually a little hole that you can slot the flap into so it stays flush against the side, rather than having it flap around like that. I wish they did that here, but it's a small thing. We are just nitpicking right now. The screen is great. It's an LCD screen, but I would say that it's really on par with whatever HTC has got. Sony has a very bad reputation with screens. The Z2 is the first phone that Sony has made that comes with a screen that I don't need to make excuses for.
Yes, it is. It's a great screen. It's a great, and I'm someone who's been using the HTC M8 for like what, 2 months now, and I still think the Z2 screen is as good, if not better. It's great.
The battery in this phone is great. It's a huge battery, 3,200 milliamp hours, and it lasts a long time. Even on LTE, it lasts a long time. And it easily beats the battery out of any phone from last year. As well as perhaps even the HTC One M8. I think this lasts longer than that phone. It has a hardware camera button. Oh my god, I love this. It has a hardware camera button. I am so glad to have this on this phone because it makes it so much easier to use as a camera. It also has so what they've done with the metallic trim on the side is that they've made it sort of dual color. There's this silver part over here, and then the rest of the metal frame, which is a continuous layer, is is the color of the body of the phone. So that also creates a nice effect and helps to differentiate this phone against the Xperia Z1. Makes it look quite neat actually. There are two stereo speakers on the front. I can't say that I am really that blown away with them. They are fine. They are
But
good
they were
quality.
way better than the ones on the Xperia Z and the Xperia Z Ultra. Let me say that.
Yes.
They're way better.
Yeah, these phones are not as loud as HTC speakers, but but at least the quality is there so that you can actually enjoy the music or podcast or game that you're actually playing. I would say that it's roughly on par in terms of loudness with the Xperia Z1, which had the single speaker on the bottom. So now you have two, which gives some stereo separation when you use the phone in landscape. So this phone has the top-end specifications of any Android phone that you can get. Snapdragon 801, 3 GB of RAM, Android 4.4 out of the box. So in terms of specifications, there is really nothing that you can complain about here. Really, I struggle to find anything bad about this phone that I can really
So in my review, I've almost finished up with my review, and I read it again just to make sure I was grammatically everything was correct and stuff. And I realized that the only thing I found wrong with this phone was that the volume buttons aren't as nice to press as they could be. And I was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever said about any phone. Oh my god, there's nothing else I can find wrong with this.
My primary complaint about this phone is that it's a bit tall, the bezels are a bit thick at the top, but I also understand that that's where the camera is. So and it also has a big battery. So that stuff has to go somewhere. And that makes it sound like I'm gushing about this phone, which is really against my cynicism and dogged attempts to be objective about anything. I think I gave the M8, even the M8, quite a bit of criticism when I had that phone for review. But with this phone, it's hard not to talk about it, and not sound like I'm gushing about it because it is just a great phone, and they have really thought about it. This is already the third generation of the Xperia Z series flagship, and I think that this is the first phone where it is really the best of Sony this time. Last year with the Xperia Z, they made a big deal about the Xperia Z having the best of Sony in it. I think they finally delivered on that promise in a complete way with this phone. And so I'm going to talk about the camera now. The camera, 20.7 megapixels, one 2/3-inch sensor, which is actually on par with many Nokia phones or even bigger. It has a single LED flash autofocus. It captures images at 8 megapixels by default, which means you get oversampling and you get lossless digital zoom. And so, okay, I will say that in terms of camera performance, what you see here is very similar to what you'll see with the Z1. So in that sense, there's no revolution here, but let's just take note that there is only a gap of a few months between the Z1 and this one, so it'd be unreasonable to really expect like a major change or a major improvement. The camera on this phone is superb. I think it's the best Android camera phone you can get. Even better than the Galaxy S5 because this actually does well at night.
And it's actually waterproof, so you can actually take this swimming with you and it'll survive.
And it has an actual hardware camera button, which means you'll be able to take photos underwater as well.
Yes.
Because the screen will not work underwater. So in my testing, I have been nothing short of impressed with the phone. When I first looked at the photos that I shot, I did feel a bit meh about it, but that's because I reviewed the Xperia Z1, and when the Xperia Z2 produces images that look very much like what you would get with the Xperia Z1, it's hard to escape that sort of feeling. But for most people who's going to buy this phone, they would not already have an Xperia Z1. If you have an Xperia Z1 and you want to buy this one, you just have a lot of money. I would say stick with the Xperia Z1 and wait for whatever Sony comes up with in the second half of the year. In that sense,
I feel really bad for people that bought the Xperia Z1 Compact. It's a phone that's so irrelevant that we haven't even reviewed it on the site because as soon as it was announced, Sony announced the Xperia Z2, and then you're like, oh, So should we still talk about the Z1 Compact? Because technically speaking, it's a great phone. It's really portable. It has all exactly the same specs as the Z1, except for the screen. But it's kind of irrelevant right now because everyone's talking about the Z2.
And
Uh,
and as far as the so I had to remind myself that look, in isolation, the camera performance that you get from the Xperia Z2 is nothing short impressive, and now it also captures 4K video. I don't know how much of a use 4K video actually is, but it's great that you can do it. It's possible, and that
yeah.
also leads to better video quality at lower resolutions as well. So in that sense,
What do you say to people that say, "Oh, but there's no optical image stabilization"?
I would say that it's fair. I think
Hmm.
optical image stabilization is important,
Hmm.
but I also don't think that it is such a huge deal that
Hmm.
it instantly is that that the Xperia Z2 has. Sure, it doesn't have optical image stabilization, but it does not mean that. I mean, look, even for phones that have optical image stabilization, the results are not always perfect.
Yep.
Because the optical image stabilization system that you have in phones isn't as good as one that you have in a standalone camera. If you are really interested in stabilized videos, mount your phone on a tripod or get an actual video camera so that you can actually capture better video. For the sorts of scenarios where the Xperia Z2 will be used for video recording, it doesn't matter.
Um,
Instagram video,
I,
who cares whether it's stabilized or not?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that completely because a lot of people that I've talked to about this are like, oh, but it doesn't have optical image stabilization. And I'm like, seriously, guys, that's the one thing you could find wrong with the camera.
It
Have you
doesn't matter.
seen the size of it? Have you seen the so it's a I mean it's the thing is because you're picking on such small insignificant things that just shows you how great this phone is. It really is. Um, I mean, I think if you're looking for a high-end phone right now, forget the. Uh, First of all, the Galaxy S5 should be the last phone that
Forget
you
the
pick up right now.
S5. The S5 is
It should
irrelevant.
be. If you for some reason want a metallic phone or like really if you're really into design, fine, get the HTC One M8.
But you'll
It's
be
a great phone.
sacrificing a lot with the camera.
Yeah, you'll be. I mean, the camera isn't as great, but at least you have that great design, and
Look,
it does
okay, look.
feel a little bit more responsive, like a little tiny bit more responsive on the
Everyone
screen.
says that the HTC One M8 camera is great at night, and that's all that it really does. Um, have you seen the shots that the M8 shoots in the day? The Z2 is so good in the day.
Yeah.
You can take it out in the brightest of conditions, and everything is perfectly exposed. The
Yeah.
sky is blue, not white. There are actually shadows and depth in your shot. The Z2 has a fantastic lens. It doesn't need any software nonsense to give you a a shallow depth of field because it just does it in hardware. The
But
lens is
if you do want to do the software nonsense is there as an option as well.
Yeah, so you know what? You don't need a second image sensor or whatever on the phone in order to take images with that sort of bokeh because I think in the Z2 can do it out of the box. You just take a macro shot even in auto mode and the because of how great the lens is, the background has a beautiful blur to
Mm.
it, and that's just fantastic. I mean, look, HTC, I love the company, I love the phones, but they just like to throw a lot of marketing buzzwords that imaging, and as far as imaging is concerned, that's a department where hardware really matters, and
Yeah.
where specifications really matter, and where software optimization really matters. And of course, on the Z2, it's part software that makes the camera so great. It's the reason why you don't want to use a third-party camera with this because you will lose the oversampling, you will lose the lossless digital zoom. But as far as the stock camera experience is concerned, it's still a really magical thing to shoot a picture, view it in the album app, the gallery, and have it automatically enhance. You
Mm.
open the image, it enhances,
Automatically.
and
Yeah.
and that is amazing. And if you want, you can shoot at full 20 megapixel resolution and do crops from that large image. So
Mm.
I really feel like as far as camera performance is concerned, the Z2 is in the same league as the best of Nokia, and I think HTC needs to do more to actually be in that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I wish HTC and Sony would just like partner up for something. Like Sony HTC or HTC Sony or just make a or just like make one phone together like every year. All right, so that's our show today. We've spoken about everything that we need to talk about. Our Sony Xperia Z2 review will be up this week. Our Moto E review might be up this week, but we might push it to next week because I am traveling again, unfortunately. I will try to put up our Lumia 630 review because I kind of want to talk about the 630 before I talk about the Moto E. I feel like I should establish that baseline before I talk about the Moto E. But that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, we do enjoy your feedback. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know if you don't agree with something we said, because we like a good argument. Let us know if you think there's a better phone than the Moto E, if you think the Windows phones still have some advantage over an Android phone at that price range. Let us know if you think the purple Xperia Z2 does not look as good as another color. I don't know. Well, I will say one thing, Al. When I saw the lime green Xperia Z1 compact, I kind of thought, maybe there'll be a lime green Xperia Z2, but there isn't, and I'm sad about that because the lime green yellowish one.
I saw the
Z1
Xperia
compact.
Z1 compact for myself, and it is a cute little phone.
Cute phone, yeah. I still don't know if we should review it, but let's
It's
see.
just sad that it now exists in the shadow of the Xperia Z2,
Yeah.
and it's called the Z1 Compact because
I know.
it
So
is
why would you
one
buy
less
last year's
than the
compact?
Xperia Z2.
Yeah.
It should have been called the Xperia Z2 Compact.
Why it has almost exactly the same specs. Why wouldn't Sony just release it as a Z2
Yeah.
Mini or something? I don't know. You know what? Never mind. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.
One last note.
Okay.
Right now, the Z2, I can think of one reason not to get the Z2, and that's
Oh, no.
because right now on contract, in Singapore at least, it's twice the cost of the Z1, and
What?
at that rate,
Oh my God.
I would say if you don't mind sacrificing a bit of screen, a bit of speaker quality, I would say the Z1 is a great deal. If you don't feel like you need to have the latest of the latest that comes out, I would say that the Z2 needs a bit of a price drop over here before it makes sense to get it, especially since the Z1 looks like it will be concurrently available for some time. So so in that way, the Z1 is actually quite a bargain now. You're getting about 80% what the Z2 has.
This is so typical Sony because they finally got the pricing right in India, and then they go and screw up the pricing in Singapore. It's like they have to make the money up from somewhere, so let's take off the money from Singapore instead. Damn it, Sony! Come on, you were so close to being. All right. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. Like I said, our reviews will be up this week. Let us know if you have any questions about these phones before we post our review. Get your questions into the comment section below before that. Thanks for watching, guys. That's our show. We'll catch you next week. Oh no, actually next week we won't be able to catch you. Depending on where I am, I'm probably not gonna have internet. So if we don't have an episode next week, I apologize. If we do have an episode, forget the last thing I just said. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you around. Take care. See ya.
Bye.